Hi everyone, welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. On the show today, guess what we're gonna do? We are gonna do our basic test and review of the brand new Bosch Universal Plus. Now Santa Claus brought me this and I haven't used it yet. And I think it's time to bust this baby out and do our basic test and review on it. So join me as we do a product test and review of the Bosch Universal Plus. So I don't know if you remember, but some time ago we did one of our very first stand mixer challenges with my Bosch Universal. And the one I had was the model before this. And if you haven't watched the video, I'll go ahead and put a link down in the description. We tested it against the Pro 600. And I chose the Pro 600 as the winner because the Bosch walked around the counter. It was surprising to me. It didn't bother Eric as much, but it really bothered me because when I ran the thing, it was like all the way across the counter. And I really felt that it would just fall off the counter if you really weren't paying super close attention to it. I love the power of the thing. It can do multiple loaves of bread, big batches of cookie dough, but I really think that it needed something to keep it down on the counter to really say that it was, you know, a star for me. So Bosch came out with this new model, and this is the Bosch Universal Plus. And one of the things that's different about this mixer is it has suction cups on the bottom. So we will see if that helps. So we are going to judge this mixer on the same categories as we have for all the other mixers. We are going to be doing other tests with this mixer. We are going to be doing a 9-loaf challenge with this mixer and with the Ank to see which is the bad boy, right? Right now, we just want to do a basic test and review so we can compare this against the other Bosch mixer that we tested and against a lot of the other mixers that we've done. So we're going to be looking at the overall look and feel. We are going to be whipping some cream. We're going to be making some cookies, and we're going to be making some basic bread dough. So let's take a look at the overall look and feel. So this is the Bosch Universal Plus. And in many ways, it looks like the prior Bosch in that the motor is at the base of the unit. And it has a really nice transmission on these units. That's one thing I can say is they definitely have a lot of power to push a lot of dough. This also has a hub here that has a blender attachment. It has all kinds of different things. It also has attachments to go on this hub. Not sure how this comes off. There we go. So we do have a hub here. It does have plastic tines, which I'm not overly excited about, but I'm not really going to buy the blender though, because we have blenders on other mixers, plus Eric has a Vitamix, so we really wouldn't get the blender for this. So here's your basic on, off, and pulse function. One of the things that I've read in the reviews about this mixer is some people have had trouble with the lettering wearing off the front of the mixer. They just wipe it with, you know, some basic cleaner and this lettering comes off. Don't know if they fixed that issue. I haven't really used it enough to clean it, so I don't know if, you know, that's still a problem. Over time, I'll figure that out. But just so you guys know, there has been an issue with this lettering coming off. So this is just like the other Bosch. And what we have here is we have your basic bowl. This bowl is dishwasher safe. And one of the things about this bowl is it has a thing here that you can open up and you can take out this center thing. So you can just wash this by hand, and then this goes in the dishwasher. And it goes back really easy. You just put it down there and twist it on. So then your bowl goes on the hub. Woo! And here's your lid. So your lid has a ring, and it also has this inner piece, so you can add ingredients really easy. I've even ran it with this off, but you're not really supposed to. So one of the things we did as an option is Santa got me the stainless steel bowl. Some people prefer stainless over plastic. I can tell you that this would be good if you want to make things with a lot of hot ingredients, because it might melt this bowl. So if you're doing like a Swiss meringue with hot sugar syrup, something like that, you might want to use a stainless steel bowl. This stainless steel bowl is pretty expensive though. I think this is, what, about $100, $150 maybe for the stainless steel bowl. So it is pretty expensive, but it's not totally necessary to get this mixer. And it too has the same mechanism here to remove the post. It comes with its own lid. I did notice that this lid doesn't really fit on here, so the lids aren't really interchangeable. So when you get this, it's not like you're scoring a second lid. You can tell the ones that go on the main unit because it has this little white thing here. So it sort of identifies what unit it goes to. Okay, so for the attachments. We have a lot of basic things that you have with all your mixers. It has the dough hook. The dough hook is very similar to the one on the previous model. As a matter of fact, I think the other one will work on this one, and I still have that model. This is a burnished metal dough hook, which means no dishwasher. It means wash it and dry it immediately. Otherwise, you will get a gray powder, which is basically aluminum oxide, on your food and all that fun stuff. Don't know why mixer manufacturers are doing this. This should be stainless steel, but that's another story, right? So the next thing that comes with that, with your basic mixer is this, and this is the dough hook extender. This is a huge bowl. It's like 6.5 quarts. And if you want to do a small batch of dough, the dough hook is not really effective on a small batch of dough. So what you want to do is you want to put the dough hook extender on here, then you put the dough hook. So what's that going to do is it's going to keep the dough high enough to be able to hit this dough hook. So if you're doing a larger batch, you just use the dough hook by itself. So the next thing it comes with is your basic whips. And here's your whips. And it comes with a plastic hub. And one of the things I've seen on a lot of the reviews is this hub breaks. So if you plan to do some heavy cookie dough or something like that, you really want to invest in a metal hub for this. The paddles for doing cookies come separately. So these whips came with a basic mixer, but the paddles you have to buy separately. The prior model, you get a metal hub. So I have a metal hub because I'm just going to be using that. But if you buy this mixer, you really want to get a metal hub. And unfortunately, it's burnished metal. It's not stainless. This one is dishwasher safe, but this one isn't. So you just slap your beaters on here. Your beaters go onto the hub, and that's how that works. The same thing with the whips. Just pop them on there. And you put them on there. Put your lid on. Yeah. And cord is, it's not exactly retractable, but there is a hole in here for it to go back into. So we're going to plug this baby in. Let's take this off. And there's your pulse. So the overall look and feel. I actually like this one a lot better than I do the other one. The other one, what concerned me is it was really funky looking and it was really old-fashioned looking to me. This one still has that problem in my book. This is not something that I would say, wow, this is a pretty mixer, I'm going to leave it out on my counter. It's more of a functional mixer. And, you know, for us home cooks, you say, okay, the only reason you like KitchenAid is because they have nice colors and they're shiny and all this fun stuff, right? Eric's back there going like this. And I have to admit, part of that is true. It's a trophy on your counter, right? It's like, this is my mixer. And there's nothing more beautiful than a KitchenAid that will complement your decor, right? But also you need a mixer that's going to be functional. And this possibly could be it. You know, my feeling of the look on it is it's just okay. I think it has a lot of parts to it. I think the issue of them making this where it could potentially break is an issue. But other than that, you know, it's a fairly sturdy machine. It is made out of plastic, and at the price level of this machine, you know, it's somewhere between the inexpensive mixers that we tested that were plastic and the Ank, which is back there, that's a beautiful, you know, shiny, fancy metal. And it's sort of in between in the pricing, but it's a whole lot of plastic. Not that plastic is going to really necessarily affect the performance, it just sort of affects the quality and feel of it. And you would expect that on a lower priced mixer if you get the performance out of it. As you get up there in price, you want to look at a piece of equipment that's a little bit more luxurious. And this mixer being in the $400 price range, $150 for this, you're starting to creep up into the price range of that. And it comes with all of that. So if you were to do a full-on package of the Bosch, you might be in the price range of the Ank. If you are looking at the basic unit, buying a metal hub and these, which I think are $30, $40, something like that, it's quite a bit less expensive than the Ank, but I can tell you the look and feel of it is not as luxurious for the cook. It is a lot lower, so if you have cupboards like this, the Ank fits under there, but you might be stretching it with that. This, it definitely would fit under your counter. So for those reasons, the look and feel, I give it an A-. Okay, everybody, let's rock and roll. We got the Bosch going. We're going to do heavy whipping cream. One of the things is we already have a little nickname for this mixer. I call it the Deuce because it's Bosch too, right? I have another Bosch and this is the new Bosch. So we got the Deuce going on here, and Eric is really rooting for it because he was a Bosch fan before. So, heavy cream. We got our cream, 1 pint, and this should do this no sweat, right? But we'll go through the motions anyway. So we're going to whip this to soft peaks. Wow, I've never had a mixer fail on soft peaks before. Okay, finally we got something going. Powdered sugar and a little vanilla, and we'll finish her off. And I see, I see we have an issue of the center post. It's just not quite mixing it in there. Let's see. We got whipped cream. Not.
I'll be the judge of that. Whipped cream.
So we did get whipped cream. But it took a while. And I was going there, I wasn't going to think we were going to get it there.
Oh, operator error.
What?
90 seconds is what the ink took. And some of the other ones do it in roughly that. You never let it even run a whole minute before you start playing with it. You didn't even have it on 4 half the time. You had it on 3 for a while. You had it on 2. So no, I say it's your fault. It performed.
Okay, so we got our whipped cream. I give it an A. So it's time to do some cookies in the deuce. We got our cookie paddles on the hub here. In here, I got some butter. And we're just making some peanut butter cookies. So we're going to give a little cream. Let me put this on. Sugar. Woo! Brown sugar. And we're going to let this cream for a minute. Okay, so we have a fundamental issue. Now look at that. Do you see how that is mixing? It's not mixing. So we're going to give the Bosch the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to take these paddles off this metal hub. We're going to put the paddles on the plastic hub. So we're going to put the plastic hub and we're going to see if this changes the situation any. So that's the creaming that you get with the cookie paddles on the Bosch. Let's see if we can get the stuff from around this hub. Let's see if we can get some kind of improvement here. Because obviously putting the plastic on here did not change one iota. Okay. Would you say that is creaming? I would say no. Okay. These are the cookie paddles. So we're going to put in some eggs. See if a little liquid helps that out a little bit. And I would say that helped it out not at all. So I'm mixing it myself. And I'm going to put our peanut butter in. Ah, I better take that off of there. Great incorporation. So we have our flour in here. I'm going to put salt, baking soda, baking powder. Give her a little whisk. And let me put this ring on so it's not flying in my face. And so I think it did an okay job. I think there's a fundamental issue with creaming. It did an absolute terrible job on creaming. We ended up getting the result, but a lot of it bound up around the center thing. And I don't know if some would say you should put on the whips first and then the cookie paddles. That's a hassle, and the cookie paddles should be able to do the job. And it did come together, but to say I'm disappointed is an understatement. So basically what I'm doing is I'm grading this based on a single batch. I don't know if you do a 2-3 times batch, if it would move stuff around in there better. The issue I have is for the home cook, this mixer doing this might be great with huge batches, but for the regular home cook who wants to do single batches, does this mean that you need 2 mixers? And I kind of have an issue with that. It didn't do a very good job on creaming. There is some kind of scraper thing, and we have it, and it has these little tongs on it, and it's kind of confusing, and I haven't figured out yet how it works. But just fundamentally using those cookie paddles, and it was not moving it around. Even when I stirred it up and got it off that center thing, it still just straight back to it, and it was way below those cookie paddles. So for one recipe, the cookie paddles were too high to get to that dough. Larger batches, it may do a better job, but really, to be honest with you, I'm disappointed in that. I give it a B-. Okay, so Eric has convinced me to run a second test with the scraper. And so we're going to make another batch of peanut butter cookies, and we're going to use this little thing, this contraption. It's actually the bowl scraper. And it is a little crazy looking. It kind of looks like something flying around on Star Trek. Here is our cookie paddles. And basically, there's 2 scrapers on there, and you just snap this in here, like this. Now, so this is how this thing works. That's your paddle now. Wow. So I've read a lot of reviews on this scraper, and I agree with them. This scraper is really cheap plastic. A lot of people have had trouble with it breaking. They charge $25 for this paddle scraper thing, and $30 extra for cookie paddles and the metal hub. So you're already looking at almost like $60 additional for right?
To boldly go where no dough has gone before.
To boldly go where no cookie dough has gone before. So let's try this out. So let's put this on here. Holy cow. And hopefully this thing is not totally on here. Okay, so R2-D2 is on here. And let me put this on here because I'm a little worried this thing's going to go flying across the room. And we're going to go ahead and put our sugars in. There's some white sugar and some brown sugar. Whoop. Let me spread this out so I don't break these things. Woo! So it is doing a better job with this. I'm used to my I'm scared that this thing's gonna go flying. So let's see.
Does it look like a cream?
It looks a little, yeah, it's a lot better than it was. The only, limitation is if you need to move this around a little bit, you're going to have to take this whole contraption off, which is kind of hard to get on and off. Like,
Don't do it.
yeah, no. It's not exactly easy to get on and off, so I'm not even going to go there. So, let's get some eggs in here. And let's get some peanut butter in here. This big contraption does block your access here a little bit. And we'll give it another. I would say a much better job. And let's just take this off so we can see it a little better. Okay. So, definitely a much better job. I mean, it mixed it really nice, and it did a better job. I don't know. It did a lot better job on the creaming. Don't know if it's quite as fluffy as some of the other things that I've seen on some of the other mixers, but it definitely did a better job with this contraption. My only thing is, this is somewhat of a nightmare, but it does it. So, I give it a B. Now, let's go wash up this mess for like an hour because there's so many parts.
All right, next up is bread. And as you know, bread is very important for Bosch buyers. So we're going to do a big loaf based on the KitchenAid commercial behind us. Bonus points to those people who noticed the swap out back there. We're going to make a big loaf here because we don't want to play with like little stuff on this, right? Amy did a bunch of small tests in case you want to use this as your everyday mixer. But I decided that since a lot of people buy this for its ability to do big loaves, let's see if it can do a big loaf, right? So we're looking to see how well can it knead? Can it make it a little stretchy? Can we get a little window pane? Can we produce a gorgeous loaf, right? Because that's, after all, that's what Amy always looks at. And if it's not gorgeous, then we don't need it, do we? So let's get started here. So the first thing we've got is 3 cups of 110-degree water. You don't want it too hot because you don't want to kill your yeast. You want it too cold because it won't, I don't know, hiccup and burp and grow and stuff. Next, we have 9 teaspoons, aka 3 tablespoons, of instant yeast. Normally we use active dry, but I ain't got none. So that's what we're going to work with. I have 4 tablespoons of sugar. So we're going to throw that in there. And I'm just going to give this guy a little pulse. I don't know. Yay. If you were using active dry, this would be a time that you would just let it sit there for a little while and start, I don't know, burping and making bubbles. But since this is instant, we're going to keep on going. So I have, let's see here. Let's get the eggs in here. We have 4 eggs. Get that in there. Splat. Don't like that mess. We have 4 tablespoons of butter. Throw that in there. And we have 2 cups of non-fat dry milk. We're going to throw that in there. And that just leaves us with 2 things left, and that's our flour and our salt. And we're going to add the salt in just a minute after we get a little bit of flour in there. We don't want to kill the yeast, right? So let's just go ahead and pulse this for a second. All right, so that's a nice little mess in there. And now that we have all the ingredients in here with the exception of the salt and the flour, we're just going to go ahead and let it run on speed 1. About a minute, let it get incorporated. I smell some yeast. Okay, that's probably good enough. So let's go ahead and we're going to get about 4 cups in here. We have a total of 11 cups. 1, 2, 4. Let's go ahead and get the salt in here. I have 4 teaspoons of salt. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this flour in here. All right, we have about 10 cups in there, so roughly. The dough's pulling away from the side, which is good. Now, let's just go ahead and dump the rest of it here in. My concern is this is largely just spinning. When you look at this, I'm not sure how the kneading action is really occurring here. It's just spinning like a merry-go-round. It's a nice big ball. It's just spinning. So I'm going to get my technical advisor, Amy, to kind of give me her little thoughts here. Turn it back on. Now this, we added water. Amy said it was too dry. Now the sides, you can see the dough was kind of wet, so it got the sides. Now it's kind of ripping apart. The question is it kneading? Some of it is sticking to the post and then working free. So I'm guessing it's kneading. So we increased the speed to 2, and we're going to knead for 5 to 7 minutes. It went several circles with no resistance, and it caught, and then it ripped, like right now. All right, I'm going to put just a little bit of flour in here. It seems like it's a little. All right, we've had this actually going closer to 12 minutes. Part of it was on speed 1 before we flipped it over to 2. We did take some intermediate tests just to see that it was actually developing gluten, aka elasticity, as it was going. So we're ready to take this out and put it onto a cutting board and get some little flour going and stuff. All right, we got this puppy out. He's big. Amy already ran her little greedy fingers across here, and she kind of gave it her little seal of approval. My goal is just to show you here and just, I don't know, do a little ball action like this, and then develop, I don't know, looks good. Just stretch it, yay, ripped a little bit. But it is elastic though, which is what we're really looking for, because we've seen some pretty cruddy dough come out of this guy before. So this one actually worked good. So my conclusion on this one is it's a heck of a workhorse. It lives to do big loaves, big balls of dough. All I can say was we've played with a few different recipes in the Bosch. This one was one of the better ones. This was kind of like a soft bread, sandwich bread type dough, and overall it did a pretty good job. I'm a little disappointed that it spun around several times, would then grab, spin around several times, grab. It just seems like it was not that efficient in doing that, whereas if it grabs a little bit more, then it stretches and pulls and it develops the gluten and the elasticity that we want sooner. We ran this for probably closer to 12 minutes instead of the 5 minutes that the book talked about. Now we did have on speed 1 for a little bit, maybe 2-3 minutes. So once we bumped that up, it should have caught up, and it took a while longer. But I think that plastic bowl is maybe a little too slippery for it, and maybe you have to do the stainless steel. So in the later tests, we're going to compare the plastic to the stainless steel bowl. But for today's purpose, it did need it. It made it good enough, we're going to have to divide this up into smaller pieces and then kind of knead them a little bit to get it to where we want it to be. But it's pretty close, so we do give a thumbs up here. It's kind of hard for me to give a grade on this. I'll give it a B+, A-. I don't want to make anybody mad, but it's close to where it needs to be, and that's all we can really ask for. This mixer overall did a pretty good job. I think if you want to make, small batches of things, whether it's small batches of cookies or bread, you really need a different mixer. If this is going to be your only mixer, it's going to do medium to large jobs. Even with dough extenders, which kind of reach down into the bowl, it's just going to still slide around. We've done too many that just didn't do a good job in this plastic bowl here. The stainless steel, it seems to grab a little bit better. I think it needs a little bit better. If you are going to go that route, you might consider KitchenAid Classic Plus, which is 4.5 quarts, or maybe even a KitchenAid Pro 5, although now they're discontinuing it, maybe the Pro 5 Plus, whatever that means, might be a good one. And then this, or the Ink, or maybe the KitchenAid Pro Line 7 might be good, or maybe this guy behind me might be good. But we did like it. For those people that love this for the bread making, they've had it for decades. It's a workhorse. There's very few complaints about the breaking down. So if you are serious about making lots of bread, then by all means, it's going to do the job for you. So we're kind of happy. It made a lot of bread. I'm going to be eating a lot of this. It's got a little bit of milk in it, so Amy can't do it. So I'll have to make some others for her that doesn't have that in there for her. All right, it's time to see how much we made here. This is actually about 6 pounds, 6 and maybe a third pound, so that's kind of negligible. For you metric people, I don't know. I just put in grams. So it looks like it's 2.8 kilograms, so hopefully that helps you. This is like 2,833.5 grams, so that's kind of a big ball to me, that's for sure. I would never make this in a KitchenAid Pro 6, that's for sure. The Bosch got a little warm. It didn't get hot. I didn't smell any smoke coming out. I didn't smell any motor smell type stuff. So it did a good job. I think a KitchenAid would probably wave a flag, that's for sure. So, well, that was interesting, and that was a learning experience. So, yay. If you like this video, please subscribe below, give us a comment and a like, and visit our website at amylearnstocook.com, and we're also on Pinterest and Twitter at Amy Learns to Cook.
Like little ears.
Come on, don't waste.
The prior So this is the new.
You keep saying the new. It ain't new. It's been out for a few years. Hey, boo. Can I do this? Ugh.
What are you doing to that?
I'm giving a CPR. It's breathing. Hey. It burped. I heard air come out. It burped. Is this how you make a burrito? Or a calzone or something?
Stuff that and make a big, huge stuffed bread.
This one would be huge. Oh, great. Now I'm in charge of all bread going forward.
Yay.
Yay.